All right, you're going to want to pay attention to this. We've got two pretty dangerous storms moving across the country, and one of them is bringing, well, a really surprising, pretty unusual twist. I mean, yeah, we're talking about heavy snow, but there's something else happening that you almost never see this time of year.
Yeah, you heard that right. A winter storm that could also spin up a tornado outbreak? How is that even possible? That's the big question we're digging into here. How can a classic winter storm setup also brew a super rare tornado threat in February of all months? It's a really fascinating and, frankly, dangerous combination.
And this is really the key thing to get. This is not just one big storm. It's a true 1-2 punch. We're talking two totally separate storm systems hitting one right after the other. And they're going to impact tens of millions of people with completely different, but yeah, equally serious threats.
Okay, so let's start with storm number 1. You can think of this one as kind of the opening act. It's the first of the two, and don't get me wrong, it's powerful, but it's a little more conventional. More what you'd expect from a winter storm this time of year.
So where's all the energy from this thing coming from? Well, it's actually pulling moisture from that monster storm that just hammered the West Coast. As that system moves over the Rockies, it's going to dump a whole lot of snow, we're talking several inches, and possibly some ice all across the northern part of the U.S., pretty much now through Wednesday.
But wait, it's not just about the snow and ice. Here's the first curveball. This storm has another trick up its sleeve. The whole atmospheric setup, what forecasters call a tight pressure gradient, it's basically a squeeze play between a strong low and a strong high pressure system. And that's cranking up a completely different and pretty significant hazard.
And that hazard is wind. We're talking really powerful wind gusts whipping across the plains in the Midwest. Now, you know what happens when you mix high winds with tinder dry conditions, right? It's the perfect recipe for a huge fire risk. It's so bad that some areas, especially like northeastern Colorado, are under an extremely critical fire risk. That's no joke.
Okay, so that's storm 1. Now, let's talk about the second storm, because this is where things get really weird. This is the main event. It's taking a totally different path, and that path is what unlocks its super rare and, honestly, much more dangerous side.
And here's the difference in a nutshell. Storm 1, it stays up north. But storm 2, it takes a dive to the south. And that southern track is a huge deal. It means way more people are in the line of fire, and not just for snow, but for that bizarre severe weather threat we talked about. So if you're in the Ohio Valley, this is the headline for you. Thursday is the day to be on high alert. Forecasters are looking at a weather pattern that it almost never happens in February. We're talking the real potential for some significant, powerful thunderstorms.
So how does this even happen in the middle of winter? Well, think of it like a giant atmospheric battle. You've got this cold, dry air just plunging south out of Canada. But from the other side, you've got this warm, really moist air surging north from the Gulf of Mexico. And when those two totally different air masses slam into each other, right over the Ohio Valley, boom, you get an explosive trigger for some nasty weather. But for this to go from just thunderstorms to a real tornado threat, you need a very specific recipe. The ingredients have to come together just right. First, you need temperatures that are way too warm for February. Second, you need that instability, from that clash of air we just talked about. And third, and this is the big one, you need a ton of moisture. We're talking dew points climbing near 60 degrees. It's a really delicate but really potent mix. And this quote from a forecaster really nails it. The whole thing is on a knife's edge. A tiny change, just a degree or two in that moisture level, that dew point, could be the difference between a serious tornado event and absolutely nothing happening. The uncertainty here is just off the charts.
So, what's the official word? Right now, the Storm Prediction Center has put cities like Cincinnati, Louisville, and big chunks of Illinois and Indiana under a slight risk. What does that mean? It means they're worried about damaging winds and some large hail. But, and this is the important part, a few tornadoes are definitely not out of the question.
All right, so, as if 2 storms weren't enough to keep track of, the forecast for this weekend is just a mess. Why? Because there might be a third storm coming. The problem is, our 2 main weather models are looking at the same data and telling 2 completely different stories. They just can't agree.
Just look at this disagreement. You've got the European model on one side saying, it's a weak storm, it's going to fall apart. But then you have the American GFS model on the other side saying, whoa, hold on, this could be a really organized snowstorm, maybe even a big nor'easter. So which one is it? It's a total mystery for the weekend.
So if you're a bit farther south, what does this mean for you? Well, it means places like Little Rock and Nashville could see some snow. But, and let me be really clear about this is not one of those run out for milk and bread emergencies. We are not talking about a major snowstorm here. If it happens, it's probably going to be just a light coating, maybe a couple of inches max. And just when you think it's over, it's not. After all this stormy wild weather finally pushes through, the whole pattern across the country is going to do a complete 180. The grand finale to this crazy week is a massive, widespread plunge into the deep freeze. Seriously, it's like someone is just opening the planet's freezer door and aiming it right at the US. There's this huge dome of Arctic air that's been sitting up in Canada, and it's about to just spill south, right on the heels of these storms, and it's going to bring a huge temperature crash with it.
And what does that look like? Well, by Monday morning, a huge part of the country will be waking up to temperatures that are a shocking 20 to 30 degrees colder than they should be. And this isn't just for the northern states either. This cold blast is going to dive all the way down into Florida. So, yeah, maybe don't pack away those winter jackets just yet.
Wow! So let's recap. We've got high winds, fire danger, a super rare tornado threat, forecast models that can't agree, and a final Arctic blast to top it all off. What an incredibly complex and wild week of weather, right? It just leaves you with one big question, doesn't it? Is this the last big surprise winter has in store for us?